Hey everyone, how's it going? This is the Gaming Veterinarian here, or TGV, or if you want to try to pronounce my name correctly as seen in that little game footage there, give you a best shot. No one else has been able to ever get it right on the first go, but that's okay. I've had to deal with it my whole life. But anyways, welcome to my channel. As of now, I am currently a second-year veterinary student at Auburn University's College of Veterinary Medicine, War Eagle. So I'm currently going through my veterinary education to become a doctor of veterinary medicine. I am not a veterinarian yet, but I will be in about 2 years. And I've kind of started this channel because I enjoy playing video games. I've been playing Warhawk. That was my first game when I was about 5 years old on the PS1. And I've just continued to just enjoy video games and have seen it become an art. And I also love veterinary medicine very much. I love being around animals. I love helping people and seeing people become so happy when we save an animal or we help them, help the animal live longer for them to be happy. So I've created this channel because I wanted to find a way to bring veterinary medicine and video games together. As you can see in the screen down below, I have slides or like little images of veterinary information going through. In this video, it's parasitology information. And I might not do this every video, but the point of me doing this in my videos is I want to show you all the mindset of veterinary medicine and the mindset of a veterinarian. Often, too many times, there's confusion between the vets and the clients. Of maybe the client's confused on why the veterinarian wants to do this, or the veterinarian does this, it does not working, and then the client goes to another one, and another treatment method that veterinarian 2 comes up works, and then the client hates veterinarian 1 for not suggesting that round of treatment. And that happens all too often. All of that confusion, all of the misinformation that is also shared about veterinary medicine, like recently with ivermectin being used as a way to treat COVID-19. Possibly works if you use the human one, but please do not use animal ivermectin. It is 10 times more concentrated, or at least 10 times more concentrated than the human dose. So please don't take it. It's very dangerous. But I created this channel because I want to show you all my love for video games as well as for veterinary medicine, and to also bridge the gap and bring some education to the general population about veterinary medicine that they may not know, because they're not going through 4 years of school like I am. And with this channel, initially I'm starting with Pokemon Go. I have played this game since 2016, and in 2020, near to the end of 2020, I reached level 40. So I am not a super dedicated hardcore player. I'm not very hardcore in many video games. And I recently hit Legend, as you see here, last season. And I got up to 3,300 ELO, and I was actually on the leaderboards at one time, around rank 166. But anyways, I got there by playing the game at my own pace. I didn't grind a lot for XLs. I don't even have a Sableye for Great League. I just got my Bastiodon ready. I don't have many of the major meta Pokemon that many content creators or Twitch streamers or other YouTubers use. So the teams that I will be providing for you guys for Pokemon Go are Pokemon that you can easily get or are accessible, except for this team. Of course, this one's a little more unique. But a team I've been using for Great League Remix, very accessible, and it's also a very, very good team that I will be sharing a video about that soon. But I would also like to expand my outreach per se to play other video games. Currently, right now, I'm playing through Breath of the Wild. I would like to try streaming it, and I probably will try streaming Pokemon Legends Arceus, one of the two, when it comes out. But anyways, I hope you all start to enjoy this content, and I hope you all find the information that I share on the veterinary slides there. This video I will be focusing more on parasitology, but other videos I might do cardiology, pharmacology, etc. But anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this team. So the team today is Umbreon Lead with Cresselia on the safe swap and Jellicent on the close. For this, I like using Umbreon with Last Resort. And then for this Cresselia was special because it was in research breakthroughs when legendaries used to be in those. So that's why I was able to get it below 1500 CP. And as you can see, the IVs are not that great for PvP. But I gave it Grass Knot because it helps really well against the waters like Azumarill, like Swampert, and anything else that might be weak to grass. And then for Jellicent, in some of these videos you'll see me using Bubble Beam, and I will bait successfully, I will not bait successfully, but it's just it's much of a wild card for me that I like to use Ice Beam because I know for sure it has that consistent damage. And Jellicent on the close with a shield advantage of a 2-to-1 with double nukes is really good. And also, there's two main core breakers for this team, Galvantula, which I didn't encounter at all because of Bastiodons, and another core breaker that you will see when we get to him. But he is the reason why I want to use Ice Beams, so we can have that neutral damage against him, so it can be a good team effort to take it down. This team acts like a normal ABB line. So Umbreon is weak to fighters and fairies, and Cresselia will act as a safe swap, is good against those typings. And Cresselia having Moonblast is also very good against dog types that might come in to try to counter it. Cresselia in the Auburn Great League, as well as the Great League Remix, is just really good as a safe swap because she is very bulky, and that Moonblast hits super effective against Pokemon like Mandibuzz, against Sableyes, against Umbreons, and she will pressure the shield. Or she'll flip the matchup and allow me to get switch advantage. In most cases, though, it pulls out the Pokemon that would also hardcore counter the Jellicent, like a Sableye. And so, by ideally pulling out that Dark or that Ghost type, Jellicent is then free to sweep endgame. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get right into these battles. First battle here is against Iman. Alright, we have Umbreon on the lead against Skarmory. Pretty neutral matchup, and you'll hear me saying that a good amount in this video. Umbreon in the Great League just has a lot of good neutral matchups, and it has a lot of neutral matchups that it can win just because of how bulky it is, and then because of how spammy it is with these foul plays. So in these Skarmory matchups, I like to throw the foul plays at 7. Because it takes Skarmory 7 air slashes to get to a Brave Bird, and Umbreon would lose CMP tie. So by shielding a Brave Bird like I did here, and then throwing a foul play, the opponent is more likely to shield because of the defense drop. But my opponent actually played that very well there, and actually built up to 9, and didn't allow the Skarmory to get debuffed. They waited for me to throw both of my foul plays. So here, again, Cresselia, fantastic safe swap, can handle this Vigoroth well. I chipped it with foul play so that a single Grass Knot from Cresselia would be enough to take it out. So I'm farming enough here just in case the opponent decides to shield this, which they don't. And then because of that, I'm able to farm down with Cresselia, and I have this energy to now pressure Skarmory. I had this energy to pressure Skarmory. For some reason, I decided not to throw it. So that's a bit of a mistake there, but that's okay. And then here, you see me come in with Jellicent, and then here they come with Swampert. I came in with Jellicent immediately because I was reading the team that they had something that would hard counter Bastiodons and Stunfisks. They came in with Vigoroth, which is a good counter for Stunfisk and Bastiodons. So that I knew that they had to have something else in the back to counter those, like maybe a water type, or even potentially, this was very unlikely, but maybe a grass type like Venusaur. And because Skarmory does not do very well against Bastiodons and Galarian Stunfisks, so most people usually have counters for both of those in the back. So here, this is one of the matches where Jellicent has Bubble Beam, and as you can see, the bait did not work whatsoever. It did help lower the attack, but my opponent actually has Earthquake for Great League, which is actually pretty nice. Especially though using Swampert to close. You don't usually see many grass types in the back to close. So that Earthquake definitely caught me off guard. I was not expecting that. I was able to get a shield, thankfully, with that Bubble Beam. And now Umbreon can safely tank these Hydro Cannons. If my opponent actually went for Earthquake there, they might have actually been able to KO my Umbreon, and or put into a range where he could farm it down with his Swampert. But anyways, they went into Skarmory. I knew they were going to bring it in, and even if they had successfully caught a foul play onto it, I would still have had to throw it anyways. But as you can see here, this neutral damage from Umbreon, it just does a lot to a Pokemon like Swampert. Swampert is not that bulky in the Great League, but as you can see before there, that damage from Skarmory onto that Skarmory put it in the red. But anyways, good game to my opponent there. Next matchup here, we have Umbreon into Primeape. It is bad lead, and that thing's kind of a core breaker because of the Night Slash damage it has. But anyways, I bring in Cresselia, and my opponent brings in a Shadow Houndoom. Man, I haven't seen one of these since like season 3 or maybe even 2 or maybe even preseason, because people used to run just a fast move beatdown line of like Shadow Gardevoir, Shadow Houndoom, and then what I'm assuming in the back is Shadow Victory Bell. And my opponent actually decides to double shield the Houndoom here because they really want switch advantage. And as you can see, these Psycho Cuts, these double resistant Psycho Cuts from a Cresselia are doing decent amount of damage to that Houndoom. Shadow Houndoom in the Great League is not bulky whatsoever. And so a Moonblast would have definitely KO'd. I could have definitely tried baiting on that second Moonblast, but I didn't think my opponent was going to fall for it. And so now the Houndoom comes down, they bring in the Primeape, and they're going to get off this Night Slash. I am anticipating a Shadow Victory Bell in the back, but for some reason I decided not to shield this, and it makes this match way, way closer than it should have been. But I was able to thankfully get to the Shadow Ball and KO that Shadow Victory Bell. I just had to get to a Shadow Ball before my opponent gets the 2 Night Slashes. They throw 1 Night Slash. I don't think they're there yet. They might have gotten it right there. But anyways, Jellicent is just so bulky, able to handle Shadow Victory Bell, and able to sweep endgame as that is the purpose for this team. Good game to my opponent there. Alright, next up, we have Umbreon against Drifblim. This is a very good lead. And then my opponent brings in Deoxys Defense. This is also a good matchup for Umbreon, because even though Deoxys is hitting for super effective with these counters, Deoxys Defense doesn't have that high attack in general, and it doesn't get stab or same type attack bonus with these counters. And also, you'll see that I didn't immediately go into my Jellicent against this Deoxys Defense because I didn't know if it was using Thunderbolt or Rock Slide as a secondary move, because most of them are using Psycho Boost like it was here, and I didn't want to have to waste a shield against the Deoxys in this matchup. I already have such an impressive lead win with my Umbreon against the Drifblim, and I'm going for this undercharge just to get some more extra energy against this Deoxys Defense and prevent it from getting to another Psycho Boost. But my opponent plays it well and switches into the Drifblim, and now I'm just farming, get into the Shadow Ball here. My opponent will have to double shield if they want to, but they don't. See you, bud. And then last Pokemon in the back is a Surfetch, and this is basically GG's. Even if they land a Brave Bird, it's not going to KO my Cresselia. Cresselia is just so bulky, and Surfetch is just not bulky at all, that there's nothing really my opponent can do here in a 2-0 shield deficit. They land a Brave Bird, and my opponent plays it smart. They try to catch my Grass Knot onto the Deoxys Defense. I shield the Psycho Boost, and then my opponent realizes that it's game over because I was just going to farm him down there and then have all that energy to hit Surfetched. Good game to my opponent. Very positive alignment there. Alright, next up we have Umbreon against Abomasnow. Another decent neutral matchup, and of course, you know, good old lag. I kind of started a turn behind, but that's okay. We CMP tie here on this move, and usually the Abomasnows I've run into have used just go straight Weather Ball spam, even though as the match gets further and further, you could probably throw the Energy Ball to KO me quicker. But we both simultaneously swap. I swapped because I wanted to not take so much damage to my Umbreon, and I have to pull out that Dark type counter. And usually with Abomasnow leads, a very popular team in Great League is Abomasnow, Sableye on the safe swap, and then Azu in the back. And so I wanted to switch out to Cresselia to pull out that Sableye so that my Jellicent could go free in the endgame. But we both simultaneously swap, and my opponent wins in Pelipper. And because our Pelipper is water typing, and because Pelipper is not that bulky, these Grass Knots actually do a lot of damage. And I shielded the Weather Ball at that time because I wanted to get this Grass Knot off. As you can see, I would have survived. And I didn't want my opponent to double shield. I wanted to maintain this alignment. And so my opponent now farms it down with the Abomasnow. And then I CMP tie on the foul play because I wanted to get this damage off. Because if they decide to throw the heavier moves now, I can just come in with my Jellicent, farm down the Abomasnow, and have all that energy for the end game. Abomasnows are weak to fire, so I'm always anticipating a water type in the back with Abomasnow Leads. And so now I actually got to a range where I could farm it down with Jellicent, and my opponent actually threw double Weather Ball there, so good catch on my part. I was not expecting that. But as I expected, there was an Azumarill or a water type in the back. I go for the bait here, and it actually works, which I was actually very surprised about, because people are more likely to throw the heavier charge move or the heavier damaging move on the first round when the Pokemon has full health. And that's something I've been seeing a lot recently. And as you're going to see in this video, I don't take my own teaching to practice. But my opponent was thinking I was going to throw a Shadow Ball immediately and that I would stop baiting later. But baiting there actually was very nice because I was able to get the shield for less energy there, and then able to farm down the Abomasnow there, and Jellicent again sweeping the end game as the purpose of this team. Good game to my opponent there. Alright, next up we have Umbreon on the lead against Jellicent. Another fantastic lead. Usually the leads that Umbreon wins are against Jellicents and against Drifblims or other psychics. But again, now my opponent wins in a Venusaur, and I don't have a direct response to this, and Venusaur does a good amount of damage to Umbreon in the Great League with its Frenzy Plants. And so I CMP tied the foul play here. I'm thinking either if my opponent shields this, I'll put it into a range where I can farm it down with Cresselia, or if they shield, I'll still go into Cresselia because the Psycho Cuts and Moonblast will still do a good enough amount of damage for Cresselia to maintain the switch advantage. I also wanted to switch here because I didn't want to give up a shield with the Umbreon in that matchup, but I have to anyways in this matchup. We CMP tied, and so because of that, I'm going to undercharge this so I can get extra energy on the back end for my Cresselia to pressure the Jellicent if it decides to come in. Cresselia having this Grass Knot does actually over 50% of Jellicent's health, and so they bring in the Jellicent as I suspected. I throw the move at proper timing so as to not let my opponent get any extra moves in. Throw the Grass Knot. That chunks Jellicent, and if my opponent doesn't shield this, it's actually going to take him out. And so do they shield? No. See ya, Jellicent. And then in the back is Altaria. This looks pretty good, right? All we have to do is throw Shadow Balls and we'll win this match, but I'm going for that strategy again of my opponent is very likely to shield the first move. And they don't go for it, and this is actually very bad now. Because I need at least 2 Shadow Balls or a Shadow Ball and 3 foul plays to take this thing out, and it's correctly shielded the Shadow Ball there, which is not good. And my opponent goes for a Sky Attack here, and I know that they were very close, or at least almost there to double. So I shielded that one because I didn't want it to have that residual energy to pressure my Umbreon. But even with the Bubble Beam debuff, this Altaria was going to take me out before I could get to a Shadow Ball, which is why I throw another Bubble Beam here. And because of my bait there, I actually gave my opponent a win condition. And as you're going to see here, my opponent here is able to get to the Moonblast before I can get to another foul play. And they're able to take me out, and now they're able to do a complete Altaria sweep with against my team. This match is looking very, very positive for me, but I played this so poorly that my opponent really capitalized on my mistake, and they were able to win that game. Very good game to my opponent. I was almost able to go 5-0 in that set, but because of my misplay, I wasn't able to win it. So again, we have a Jellicent lead, positive. They come in with a Melmetal. which is very curious because I have not seen Melmetals in a long time because of how popular Medichams are now and how popular other fighters are now. So I don't shield this because if it's the stupid power, I know it wouldn't KO me. And if it was, I would just immediately go into my Jellicent. I throw this move thinking that they were going to shield, but they don't. So smart play by them. They were just sacking the Melmetal. I come in here with my Jellicent to get a head on energy. So I can have this energy to pressure the Jellicent or whatever comes in on the back end. And as you can see, these Rock Slides are chunking Jellicent pretty well from the Melmetal. Oh, I'm sorry there for that recording error there. My mom actually called me in the middle of this match. So when that happens, the recording automatically stops. So that's why there was like a little jump there. But my opponent brings in the Jellicent. And as you can see, the opponent is running a Bubble Jellicent. And I am actually able, thankfully, our switch clocks were so disaligned that I was able to save a Shadow Ball onto my Jellicent and able to bring in my Umbreon to capitalize against this this Bubble Jellicent. This Bubble Jellicent is running Ice Beam and Bubble so that it could do some damage against Dark types like my Umbreon. And then in the back they have a Alolan Ninetales. This is a good game, right? Because now all this chip damage from Last Resort, which actually does a pretty good amount to Alolan Ninetales, is going to be enough to put into a range where Cresselia's Moonblast can take it out. And then, I'm sorry for all these notifications. This match had a lot of notifications. But I shield this Weather Ball up because I can. And just so I can get this Last Resort damage off. There's nothing else my opponent can do here. We're just kind of wasting time at this point. But I get into a range where any move from my Pokemon will KO it. Yeah, and I kind of go for the Disrespect play here. But also Science play. I didn't know how much an Ice Beam from a Jellicent would do to a Ninetales. Obviously it does about that much damage, or maybe even a little more. I just wanted to see how much it would do. But otherwise, good game to my opponent there. Nothing really my opponent could do there. It was a good alignment on my part and good lead. So next up here we have Umbreon against Nidoqueen. Very popular lead in Season 8 because of the buffs to the poison typings. Like Poison Jab buff and then the Poison Fang on the Nidoqueen and Golbat, always dropping your defense by one stage. And that fast move pressure with the Poison Fang is just very, very oppressive. But anyways, my opponent brings in a Azumarill. I could have brought in the Jellicent here, and that probably actually would have been better because my opponent is running Hydro Pump. And so my Jellicent would have been a much better wall here. But Cresselia can hang with the Azumarill here. As you can see, Cresselia is tanking these moves very well. I let this go because I don't necessarily need switch advantage. Well, that's what I'm thinking at least, because I have Jellicent to do much better against the Nidoqueen lead. So my opponent brings the Nidoqueen back in. They farm me down. And my opponent decides to surrender. I'm not sure why. They could have played that matchup well. They had the energy for Earth Power, and Earth Power does a lot to Jellicent, and they could have definitely tried baiting there, but I guess they didn't want to play that matchup out because I had proper alignment. And with against Nidoqueen leads too, I also like building up to a Psychic now that Umbreon has that move from the Community Day. Because Psychic would do a lot of damage to Nidoqueen because of the poison typing. And so Nidoqueens have to look out for that. And I'll continuously build up to the Psychic just to try to bait out a shield. But in this matchup, my opponent brings in an Umbreon, and with my line, I don't have a direct response. I don't have any response at all to a Dark type that switches in. And so that is a bit of a problem. So I had to stay in here with my Umbreon to just chip this thing away with Last Resorts. I still have a positive lead matchup because even if I maintain switch advantage here, the Nidoqueen is most likely to come in and I can go in with my Jellicent. But as you're probably guessing, it had a Umbreon switch in with the Nidoqueen lead. It's most likely a very popular team of Nidoqueen Double Dark. A very, very popular line of Nidoqueen having Umbreon for the safe swap and Scrafty in the back. It is a ABB line, so where I'm actually able to call this bait here, which was really nice. And as I was expecting, I was about to say, it's usually Nidoqueen in the lead with Umbreon and then a Dark type like Scrafty in the back. And this Scrafty is actually the one big core breaker that I was talking about at the beginning of this video. This Pokemon counters my whole team. The matchup against Cresselia is a little uncomfortable for Scrafty because it has to feel the Moonblast, which will one-shot it. And then he also just does a lot of damage to Jellicent because of those foul plays. So the matchup is very bait dependent, and my opponent actually went for the heavy hitting move on the first move, like most people do, and I should have shielded that one. But anyways, this is why I run the Ice Beam, because I have put the Scrafty into a range where a Grass Knot will most likely not KO, but also the chip damage from Jellicent and the chip damage from Ice Beam will be enough to KO it. And actually, I'm just going to go back a few seconds here. You're going to see me do something here, because I get to a Moonblast. I actually CMP tie, or I could have CMP tied the Moonblast here, but I didn't throw, because I know our switch clocks are coming back up, and I know that my opponent is going to try to swap here. So as you can see, when my move is ready and we didn't CMP tie, my opponent tries to catch my move. I waited a split second before throwing my move, because if I didn't wait that split second, I would have thrown my Grass Knot, I would have thrown my Moonblast, and it would have been caught onto the Nidoqueen. And my win con is to land one of these moves against the Scrafty, especially the Moonblast. If I landed against Scrafty, that would be fantastic. So I waited a split second, and it was enough for my opponent to switch into Nidoqueen as well as get a poison jab in against my Cresselia. And when I see that swap, I immediately switch into my Jellicent, and I'm able to catch this Poison Fang right onto my Jellicent. So good catch on my part. My opponent probably could have gotten to the Earth Power, I think, there. Or it would have been very, very close to. And so if they actually went for the Earth Power there, they would have won that match. I think they should have hard committed to that. And I undercharged this, trying to maybe get extra energy so I could have this Ice Beam against the Scrafty. But in order to win the match, my opponent had to either farm me down or build up to double foul play. And because of Jellicent's damage with the Ice Beam, I was able to actually take out the Scrafty with the Ice Beam. Very good game to my opponent. As you can see, this team does very well even against Pokemon in the backline like a Nidoqueen Double Dark. And so now again we have another good neutral matchup. We have a Pelipper Lead against my Umbreon. And so they bring in the lower Ninetales, and I'm just going to put this thing into Shadow Ball range and chip its health with this Last Resort. And then my play here is to shield this Dazzling Gleam and then to farm up a little more and throw the Shadow Ball. So I can have this Shadow Ball on the back end to pressure the Pelipper. I actually could have farmed up way more there, but for some reason I decided not to. And I realized that, which is why I undercharged it there, because I wanted to get some extra energy. But now for this Pelipper to take out my Umbreon, Jellicent, it has to land a Hurricane. And my opponent knew I wasn't going to shield that. I didn't want to go down 2 shields. So they landed the Hurricane, and now I'm getting this move off against the Pelipper. They shield. So now we're in even shields, and I have switch advantage. My opponent has all this energy, and then they switch out quickly again. And then they actually have Scrafty in the back again. And so this is very tricky again, right? But because Cresselia is so bulky, I'm actually able to survive 2 foul plays, and I'm able to get to these Moonblasts pretty quickly. And listening to my own teaching, I actually shielded the heavy hitting move on that first attempt. And my opponent didn't shield the Moonblast there because they knew that their win con was landing, was them calling the bait. So if I had went for the Grass Knot there and they had called that, they would have probably won this match. And then look at this. Cresselia is just so dang bulky. Is able to tank this Hurricane from Pelipper very, very easily. And that's just why I like Cresselia so much. And my opponent realizes that there's nothing else they can do. This team is just so bulky. Oh my god, it's Jason Bourne. I'm sorry, I had to say that. When I saw this person's username, that's what I said to myself immediately when I saw the name. It's like, oh my god, it's Jason Bourne. But anyway, This is a very spicy lead. Galarian, Rapidash, and then they bring in Umbreon. So I'm immediately thinking that this line is Galarian, Rapidash, double dark in the back. So I'm also anticipating a Scrafty here, because Psychic Double Dark is a pretty popular team. It's usually run with Hypnos in the lead instead of a Galarian Rapidash. So props to my opponent for using this spice. But I like that. And as you're going to see, Galarian Rapidash is actually a very spammy Pokemon. Excuse me. And it can do a lot of pressure with its Body Slam spam with Psycho Cut, as well as it has most likely Play Rough or Mega Horn, which would hit Dark types super effectively. And then because my opponent brings in an Umbreon here, I have no response for this, so I have to stay in. I have to keep my Umbreon in and throw my move here against the Umbreon. And they decide to take the shield advantage, which is very smart on their part. Just to make sure I don't get farmed down, I immediately switched to my Cresselia because I knew, again, that it was most likely going to be Scrafty in the back. And I actually tapped my move there, but it was desynced. I was a turn behind, so I actually was not able to get my Moonblast off, which sucks. And if I was able to get that off, maybe my opponent wouldn't have shielded, or this matchup against the Galarian Rapidash would have been a little more comfortable. Because as you're going to see here, this Body Slam spam from Rapidash is crazy. I didn't think it was. I kind of figured that I would have had to shield a Body Slam just because of how quickly it gets there, and so I'm going to try farming up a little more. But in just 2 more Psycho Cuts, I don't even know the counts for this thing, but it got to its Body Slams so quickly. I was not expecting that whatsoever. But yeah, there's nothing here I can do, so I decided to surrender that match and call it a good game there. My opponent played that very well, and I was just flabbergasted by that Galarian Rapidash's beauty that I had no idea what to do. But yeah, so those are the end of my first battles. This team I like this team a lot, and it is very, very bulky. So you don't really have to shield a whole lot. Just try to shield the heavier hitting moves. And this team also was doing pretty well in the Open Great League when the Season 9 started, but I didn't record any of those battles because those battles are usually very spicy. I fought a Shadow Ho-Oh lead that had extra sensory, and then it had Poison Jab, Toxic Croak, and then oh gosh, what was the other one in the back? It was a Great League Tangrowth. I don't know. Very interesting team. I dig it, but I didn't want to show those battles. And this team is also a team too that didn't suffer from any of the buffs or debuffs that came with Season 9, particularly with the Weather Ball debuff. But this team can also do good against the newly upgraded Cofagrigus because of Umbreon Lead, and some of the Cofagrigus teams kind of struggle with my backline, and Cresselia and Jellicent can kind of act as a few core breakers for some suggested Cofagrigus teams. But yeah, I wanted to thank you all for watching this video. I know it was a bit of a long one, and I plan to do longer videos just because it takes me a while to make these videos and to get enough footage and to also have time to edit them, because vet school is very crazy, especially the second year. It's usually the hardest year in my whole education. And I'm also a newly married man, so everything is just going on with my life. I'm also involved with CBD research for animal medication, so I'm doing that. So I just have so many things going on in my life. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will be hopefully trying to share a team that I've been using in Great League Remix for Season 9. And I hope you also all enjoyed the bits of veterinary information that I shared in that were shared in this video. Oh yeah, quick thing about that. All this information is from my professors, Dr. Blagburn and Dr. Starkey, with Auburn. And so all the information about parasites has come from them and from my experience in the veterinary field. And so I will be citing that in the description, but I just want to let you guys know that this information is true, or what I believe to be true and very scientifically accurate. And I will be citing that information down in the description. But again, yes, thank you very much. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And have a fantastic day, everyone. Bye-bye.